The Jazz Spotlight, episode number 7. Hey everybody, what's up? Jani Runga here, and welcome to the 7th episode of the Jazz Spotlight podcast. I want to start right away because we have so much to talk about today. The topic of this episode is touring the world, and we have a great guest here that shares his story. He's traveling all over the world all the time. He's in Europe, in Asia, in the States, Africa. It's really gonna be a great episode. And what I think is really interesting about this guest is that not only he talks about his travels, but he also talks about the tools he uses to plan his tours, to find music venues and festivals to perform at, the one tool he uses to keep his online communications in sync, his schedules, his tweets, his posts on Facebook. So there's really a lot on the plate. I also would like to remind you that the Jazz Spotlight podcast is available on iTunes if you go to thejazzspotlight.com/show, and also on Stitcher if you head over to thejazzspotlight.com/Stitcher. Stitcher is spelled Stitcher, Stitcher. And like always, you can find the show notes of this episode and the links to the resources we mentioned at thejazzspotlight.com/episode 7. Enjoy this episode. Hey, what's up everyone? This is Jani Lunga from the Jazz Spotlight podcast. Welcome to the 7th episode. Today we're gonna talk about something that is probably interesting for everyone. I mean, who doesn't like to travel? So today we're gonna talk about live on tour, and we have a great guest here who's gonna share his story. I'm looking at his website right now, and just to give you an idea of how much he's traveling. At the moment he's in France, in Rennes, and then next week is gonna be in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and after that he will head to Penang, always in Malaysia. He will head to Japan, and during the summer he will be in South Africa, and then he will be back in Europe. I see here the Netherlands. So, what can I say? There is so much to say about this guest. So, I got to know him a few years ago when I was working on a jazz festival back in Switzerland. He's just a great guy, and most importantly, a super performer. I mean, you have to see this guy live if you get a chance. He's originally from South Carolina. He has grown up in Mississippi. Now he lives in Brooklyn. During his career, he has performed with stars like Cassandra Wilson and B.B. King and Charlie Daniels. And last year, he has released his debut album that coincidentally is called The Journey. It's with great pleasure that I welcome on the podcast Ezra Brown. Hey, Ez, what's up?
How's it going, man? How you feeling?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Man, feeling good. I still need some more sleep, but I'm feeling pretty good. Got a little baguette, French baguette. I'm feeling right.
So, where are you exactly in France?
I'm in Rennes.
In Rennes, okay. And how long are you gonna be there?
I'm only going to be here a few days. This is maybe the first time that I'm actually taking a kind of vacation.
Mm-hmm.
I just played in Bern, Switzerland for the Blues and Jazz Sessions Festival about a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been meaning to visit my friends in France, and then I head to Paris and I fly out to Kuala Lumpur.
Man, super busy. How you like being on the road?
Man, I can say that I really love it. I've been traveling. My first tour was when I was 17. I made this United States collegiate band. I was like 50 students from the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, they did like a tour of Europe. And ever since then, I said, this is what I want to do. I have to travel when I want to play, So,
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Man, lucky you. But before we go more into details about what it means to be on tour, to be on the road, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started with music?
Music. Let's see. My mom plays piano and she sings very well in a city, Florence, South Carolina. So she's a. I grew up in the church. She's a church musician, and So I grew up playing in the church. I actually started playing drums in the church, and then ended up playing saxophone. We're playing like church hymns, and
Hmm.
then I went to school for music. Went to school, Jackson State University, Mississippi. And that's kind of where everything kind of started there. Um, my first tour was with a young lady, Dorothy Moore, blues singer. She had this song called Misty Blue. I was so young. We would go on tour. I was too young to actually go into the club, so I could only go into the club when it was time to play. Then I would have to go back on the bus. Yeah, man, it was crazy. But blues really, man, really changed my life. And then after that, I just played with all of those great blues artists. And then I ended up moving to New York. I've been in New York about 7.5 years. In New York, I started playing with a lot of hip hop artists, R&B artists, and then I really started getting things together for my own tour. And then I started playing with a lot of French African artists, Blitz the Ambassador, Les Nubian, and then started doing mini tours in Europe. And then I released my album last year. So it's been a lot of music with a lot of different people. And also I do a lot of horn section stuff too. With I contract horns for a lot of different bands.
Man, you're so busy. I wonder how you can manage to do all those things. I have a question for you because you like you space from blues and R&B to gospel to hip hop and also jazz.
Yeah.
What does that mean? How do you manage to do that?
Well, in the South, somewhere like Mississippi, which is like the home of the blues, it's also like that. That's really rooted in gospel there, and also old R&B, like really true R&B, because I have a record label called Malaco Records, and they actually hold the catalog for Stax Records. So all that Stax stuff we play on a normal basis, like Aretha Franklin,
Hmm.
any of that old classic Motown stuff. So that's kind of the basis of what I would hear every day. And then, so if you hear that every day, and then that goes to blues. And then I grew up around hip hop. I grew up in the hip hop when hip hop first started, like LL Cool J, all the good stuff.
Hmm.
So hearing both of those music at the same time and then staying in the country, so you get a chance to hear a little banjo, near Louisiana, maybe a little washboard and a little accordion. So you hear everything. And then, New York kind of, that's when I started listening to a lot of Train, started opening my ears up. Yeah, man. But it's just beautiful. Everything, everywhere I moved, shaped my ear.
Man, that's deep. And what impact has moving to New York had on your career?
Man, moving to New York changed changed my life, I could say. New York is the capital of the world. All of the greatest musicians from all over the world come to New York, and you get a chance to hear all of your all of your greatest musicians that you have albums from. You can see them on a regular basis. Uh,
Hmm.
everyone's at the jam session. They have a jam session of Smalls in a place called Fat Cat every night until 4 o'clock or 4 a.m. every single night. So, I mean, sometimes I'll finish my gig, and a lot of us will just go down there. You can see Roy Hargrove anytime, and there are many, many, many great musicians like this guy named Stacy Dillard, killing saxophone player. Uh, so you can hear everything you want to hear in New York City. So, I mean, moving to New York, like I said, changed my life. It heightened my skills because of the great level of musicianship there, and even business. I would say business wise, because I never had a business card until I moved to New York.
Okay, that's so you grow up also in that sense, also in the business side of music.
Definitely, because New York, they would always tell me, man, yeah, it's good, but you really need a business card. You really need, a really nice website, and you really need to work on everything else because everybody's great here. So, I mean, what makes you any different than anyone else? From a a present standpoint. So that's where your business part really comes in handy.
Yeah, that's totally true. And for those who are listening, talking about the business side of it and the marketing and promotion side of it, if you go to thejazzspotlight.com/episode 2, there is the podcast episode with Bob Biosinski where we talked about effective online promotion for musicians, but also for club owners, festival organizers. So it's definitely worth checking out because Bobby gave out some great tips, practical things that you can do to improve yourself. Because as Ezra said, there's plenty of great people out there. And if you want to be at the same level or even a bit kind of above them, it's important that you have a good website with the right features and that you're active on social media. And it might sound overwhelming at first, but trust me, episode 2, you don't want to miss that. It's going to give you great tips. And also, Ezra, you mentioned the jam session and the kind of the musical collaboration part of New York. And on episode 5, we had Michael Leake from Snarky Pappy on the show. And he
Great
also
guy.
talked... I'm sorry?
Great guy.
Yeah, great, super cool guy and great band. Their geek rocked. Where was I? Yeah, so he also emphasized the importance of New York as, ground for musical collaborations. So the place where you can find the right band members and people for, special guests for collaborations. And now this is where I want to go more into details with you because you have been playing with so many artists. I mean, Cassandra Wilson, B.B. King, Blitzed Ambassador, Charlie Daniels, and plenty others. My question to you is, who is the one that has impressed you the most?
Wow.
You can choose even a couple and make it easier.
Okay. Let's say, okay, one of the ones definitely, Bobby Blue Bland. I toured with Bobby Blue Bland many years. And Mississippi and blues is about storytelling. From a solo standpoint, it's about storytelling. And also it's about placement. You have to deal with time.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like these thousands of people out there and you have to tell your story in a short amount of time, but it has to be a story. You can't just go out there and, John Coltrane it and, and try to play all that over blues. So when I was playing with him, he was still kind of ill at the time, so he did the whole concert in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to play the solo, you have to walk all the way up to him on the stage, and he would kind of hold the microphone out just a little bit, and that's how people would hear your solo. You have to walk all the way up to him. So depending on how good your solo is, that's how close or far away the mic gets to you. So just imagine the first couple of times I was playing my solo when I first got in the band. In the band, I'm like the youngest person, me and the trumpet player, because we went to school together. We were the youngest people in the band. Everyone else was 30 years older than us. So I'm there playing my solo, and I'm thinking I'm ripping it. I'm playing like these minor chords, and I'm doing like these nice little lines and stuff. And then my solo, he just, thank you, Ezra Brown. My solo really quick. And then over the weeks, I learned what he would like because he would keep the microphone out there longer. So it was really important. He really shaped just a hard lesson like that because this is on stage in front of thousands of people. This shaped how I played and how I needed to tell a story and how I needed to dig deep and really, like, one note can really be profound.
Mm-hmm.
If some people like playing many notes, but I'm from the country. This one note can really make a big difference in how you tell that story. So I could say I learned most of my storytelling from him in church. In church, you really have to tell a story. It's really important to tell a story. And I guess the other place I play at this place called the Village Underground. in New York City, right across from the Blue Note, with a young lady, great R&B artist, Cheryl Pepsi Riley. So whenever I'm in New York, you can check it out every Monday night.
Mm.
I played there. Well, technically, I'm still there whenever I'm off tour, but I do my horn section thing there. So I was able to really, and that's actually how I met many of the guys from Snarky Puppy, and that's the great networking spot. So that gig right there really sharpened my skills as far as networking and style, because we play every style. We play R&B, we play Motown, and you have to play Motown when you're playing Motown. You can't play jazz Motown, you have to play Motown. When you're playing blues, you have to play blues. When you're playing reggae, so it's a lot of music I have to study. And I'll say those two gigs really sharpened my skills, from a business level, because you're seeing everybody. The bass player from the Tonight Show, Mark Kelly, he's there all the time. We play together a lot. You see Robert Glasby comes there because he comes there and he'll sit in sometime. I mean, you really see everybody there, so it's good from a networking side and from a musician side.
That's amazing. It's just, man, it's just your story is so great. Really, I love. Thanks for being on the show. I just love your story. My next question to you is: with all those great people performing there, now you mentioned New York City. How do you, or what would you say to an up and coming artist? How do you, come to those people and get musical collaborations, or just jam with them? How do you do that?
The best thing I would tell any young musician: be visible. Be visible, and that's really New York, because they see so many musicians on a regular basis. You can't come to New York for a couple of days and think you're going to get a gig like that. New York, it's about relationships. It's about building relations. They may see you at the jam session one day. They may see you at a gig another day. Then you may exchange numbers, and they may see you on Facebook another day. So it's really a long-term relationship, but it's a mutual relationship. You really love their music, and they really love your music. That's one of the main ways New York collabs really happen, because the musicians on my album, I played with them in many other bands. And then, like, my first tour to Japan was with the drummer that's on my album, Adam Jackson. And I remember hearing him, and I was like, yeah, man. And this was like 5 years before my album came out. And then he would come to where I played, the Village Underground. I see him there, and then we will always keep in touch. Another guy, Jesse Fisher, this guy plays with so many people, but he also produces also, and he also is an engineer. So we kept in touch, and I would always check out his music, and I would play on many albums that he was producing or engineering. So each collaboration, so having a business card and really email that full contact is really, really, really important. Really important. Talk to them, get the number, send them a contact, and just be visible. Be visible as much as you can, and practice, and just sound great, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. And when you say be visible, it kind of connects to what I was talking about earlier, or we were talking about earlier, about the business side of it. So the importance of having business cards, to have email, like you said, and to have a good online presence. So you said it's important to have a good looking website. And I mentioned episode 2 with Bob Yosinski. I want to mention it once again because it's really worth it. Plenty of great advice there. Okay, now let's get started with touring. Now you are you said you're in France, then you will go to Malaysia, to Japan, then you will be back in Europe.
Yeah.
How do you find places to perform? Can be festivals or venues. How do you organize a tour? How do you decide the destinations and cities and all these things?
For me, I'm maybe one of the you have many different types of touring musicians. You have, some people still. I I mean, I have my main immediate family, but I'm not married or anything, so I don't have any kids. So a lot of people like to tour and then they like to come straight back. I like to do my touring more so in blocks. So it's like 2 months or 3 months at a time. Then I take a large break and then I go back out again. So a lot of people, let's say like the Malaysia tour, they called me for the tour in Malaysia, the KL tour, for example. So that's in, I say another great thing, Google Maps. Now I have to pull up Google Maps, Google Calendar, Gmail, Facebook every day, and just synonymously just look at all of these at the same time. Okay, so if I'm in Kuala Lumpur, um, one of my friends from there, they said, "Hey, man, why don't you hook up something in Singapore?" So they called one of their friends, and they told one of their friends that I would be in Malaysia. So I'm playing a gig, and I actually didn't get a chance to put it on my calendar yet, but I'm playing in Singapore this time.
Okay.
And that'll be right after I leave Malaysia. So they're going to fly me from Malaysia. So a lot of clubs, they want to know, where will you be, because it's important for them for travel. So instead of flying you from the United States to Singapore, it's easier to fly you from Malaysia to Singapore because they're right next to each other. So
Yep.
it, for a club and booking standpoint, it's good to look at it from that angle also. And and it's good to tell, like, I would organize my tour to go to Japan right after Malaysia because I'm in Asia. Um, and so things in that line works great. Um, the only rough part of this part of the tour is I have to fly from Japan to Malaysia to United States to South Africa.
How many hours is it? Are you gonna be on a plane? Of course, there are stops, but
I'm scared to find out. They're still trying to work that out, but I would tell many musicians now. I do a lot of master classes and a lot of clinics now in conjunction with the festivals. Like I just played the Nicaragua Jazz Festival, and it's a three city festival. So in all of the three cities, they also set up a master class in each one of the cities. Like Esteli was the first city, Hinotepe, and then Managua was the final city. That was great for networking. It's great because you get a chance to find other musicians. Because for budget, you also have to think budget wise. You're not always able to bring your full band, so you're looking for musicians also. Um, like, let's say, like, they actually hired me 2 weeks later to come back to Nicaragua, and I didn't have my band, so I actually had to have really good contacts for other musicians to set up another band. Same thing with the Malaysia Festival. Um, they'll be setting me up a band there. So I mean, because of like the recession, budget, they're not able to fly a full band from the United States. That's kind of what's happening now. So your musicianship and how you learn and teach, your show, sending the charts and all of these things are very, very, very important.
okay, so kind of to go with the full package in a way, like not only playing the gig but also doing workshops, master classes, and that kind of like related events.
That's what I do now. I mean, it's great because I love teaching also, and I've always done stuff in the community and with kids ever since I was a little kid. So it worked perfect for me. Um, it was I guess, a perfect marriage, and between that and my networking, the whole business side. Um, speaking of programs, so I have to do all of my booking and my my booking and things. So these different programs I really need to actually shoot this information out. So these things are really important that every young musician needs to know, especially when you're talking about touring. It's very important.
And how do you, once you have your dates, your locations, how do you communicate that to your fans and followers? I see here on your website that you have the Google Calendar, so it's pretty easy. Do you use other means? Do you use, I think, maybe Facebook, Twitter? Do you use also websites like Songkick or Bands in Town?
Yeah. Well, actually, truthfully, I use all of those. Um, I use the Google Calendar for my website, and that's the easy. It's the easy way for my website. A quick a quick thing to tell anyone, any young musician with a website, the cheapest and the best way to do it, set up a blog and find a really great theme. Set up a free blog and find a really great theme. Then you can post all of your stuff from a mobile phone, and you can keep your website fresh, mobile wise, and you won't need to pass it through like someone else to make it, to update it very easily. And also connect all of your information so that everything is at one hit of a button. So let's say if you do something, take a photo through Instagram, put it in Instagram, but hit the button for Facebook, the button that goes to your website, the button that goes to Twitter, the button that goes to Foursquare, so that all goes everywhere with one button.
And actually, this kind of network of social media and platforms, it's also one of the tips that you might remember from episode 4. We had Bodhi Vogt on the show and we talked about SoundCloud mastery, and he was giving us tips and he was talking about the do's and don'ts of SoundCloud. And one of the biggest mistakes he noticed that musicians do really often is what you just mentioned, not to connect, their Facebook with their SoundCloud, with their website and all these kind of things. And sometimes this can get a bit tricky. Now I have another question for you. Since we started to talk we went a bit technical in a way, so we talked about Google Calendar, I mentioned Songkick, Bands in Town. Is there one app that it's kind of your Swiss Army knife, so that the one app that, you kind of couldn't live without, especially when you're touring?
That's a Hootsuite. HOOSUITE. Hootsuite is great because for a person like me and for many musicians out there, you have to sleep. Sleep is important.
You also sleep? I didn't think so.
Yeah. I don't get much of it, but I sleep a little bit. But the good thing about Hootsuite, you could put in your Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare, and your fan page. So you can put your fan page and your profile page, and you can post one thing, and it could go to all of these things. Or you can just schedule timing. Like a lot of times when I'm on a plane, I'm not posting. I'm not technically posting. I will schedule something because I know I will be on a plane for the next 14 hours. So I will schedule my post so that they continue to run. And that's really, really, really important for your fans. Your fans, like I have fans that are on many different time zones. So let's say around 6 Eastern. Let's say 6 Eastern is 5 o'clock in Mississippi. But that's also 8 o'clock in Japan and Malaysia. So, it's in Japan. So you really have to think about all these things, the optimal times of when to post. And it's great to schedule your post whenever.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to ask you, so do you send out specific tweets at specific times? So for example, if you want to if your target audience are your fans in Japan, you send it at a kind of suitable time for them. If it's someone in France, then you you will schedule your tweets at the right time. Is that correct?
That's correct. Because wherever you are, that's where you're having the most buzz at that particular time. So when I'm in Nicaragua, that's the time zone that, because I'm touring here. I was touring there for a while, so everyone wants to know, what's going on now. They want to see some of the pictures from their last gig or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to post optimally at that time first. It's optimal time for them.
And actually, it's pretty funny that you mentioned Hootsuite, because it's also the tool I constantly use, even though I'm not touring, unfortunately, but I use it all the time, because on the Jazz Spotlight, I write about clubs and festivals all over the world. So if I want to write about a gig that is happening tonight in Tokyo, I want it to the tweet to be out at a good time for fans in Tokyo. And it's actually the same tool Bobby mentioned on episode 2 of the Jazz Spotlight when he talked.
Oh, really?
Yes, when he talked about Twitter, he also mentioned what are the best times to send out tweets. So he has done some tests, and he has seen what are the best times for weekdays tweets and for weekend tweets. So it's definitely worth checking out. And he also said that he always schedules his tweets or Facebook posts in the morning, so that he knows that everything it's set up. And he's even said that, a bit like you said, that if I know that I'm gonna be on the plane for the next 14 hours, he said pretty much the same thing, that if I know that I'm gonna go, let's say, on vacation the next week, I'll make sure to schedule my tweets in advance so that everything will go out at the most suitable time. So for those who are not using Hootsuite yet, it's actually free. You can try it for free, and there is also a pro version that gives you some enhanced functionalities. But for starters, you could try with the free version of Hootsuite, and you can try it if you go at thejazzspotlight.com/Hootsuite, spelled HOOTSUITE. I will put it also in the show notes, so don't worry about it. You will be able to sign up for free to Hootsuite and start to use it, so that you can do as Ezra does, and connect all your platforms and be sure to take the most out of social media and online platforms. Now, as my next question to you, it's a tough one. You have to tell us a behind the scenes story. What is the weirdest thing that happened while on tour? Is there something that just, left you with your mouth completely open and your jaw dropped? Is there? Do you have some anecdotes for us?
Oh wow, man. That, I don't know. That kind of happens a lot. Let me see. Well, let me say a tip first. Expect anything on tour. Expect anything. Like, anything could possibly happen. Well, I guess a quick two tips. Language. Try to learn wherever you are. Try to learn the simple bathroom. Hello. Things like that. Thank you. In all of these countries that you're going to, try to learn that first, as a respect, number one. And also, everyone has to go to the restroom, so you need to know, because if no one actually, you need to know these things. So those things are very important. I guess a funny story about that, language wise, and one way I needed to know it. My first time coming to France, I didn't know the word for restroom. So I was at Starbucks. I'm always at Starbucks. Starbucks and McDonald's. Anywhere in the world, always internet. So if you ever need to make a call, send an email, just look for Starbucks or McDonald's. But so I'm there trying to use the restroom. Um, so I'm like, restroom, civil play. So I'm thinking he doesn't know what I'm saying. And then I finally figured it out. Toilet.
Hmm.
So toilet, civil play. And he points upstairs and then he says something else. So the line is about 10 people long. So I get into this line and then I finally get up there and I can't get in because there's a code. So the other thing he said was the numbers to the code. So it's good to know the language. The language is very important. Musically, let me see. The craziest thing, um, man. My first time in Africa. You get there and you don't have your luggage, and your luggage has everything for my effects. My other reads, and I have to perform the next day. Um, it actually had my other neck to my saxophone. Um, so that may have been the worst time. And I ended up, and I didn't bring my converters, so no U.S. converter. I couldn't set up my wireless microphone. I really couldn't play my saxophone until my luggage got there. Um, that may have been one of the worst experiences. So I had to rent a saxophone. So it all worked out. It all worked out beautiful. But touring wise, anything could happen. Like let me see another story. We were in Belgium. So we're in Belgium, and I'm in charge of the band, and we're getting ready to play, and the vocalist isn't there, and they have called the band, and we're on stage, and we're playing the first song, and the first song is the intro song that the singer comes up, but the singer never shows up. So it's about 10 minutes, and we're playing the same song because we can't play the rest of the song because the singer isn't there. So it's it's about looking professional all the time, like because the people on the other side of the stage never know what is happening. They never know what's going on. I mean, it's so your idea from a musician standpoint is to always make any mistake look like it was meant to happen. Like if you fall, make it seem like that's a part of the show. If your mic comes out in the middle of your solo, like that happened to me a lot of times. The wireless completely comes out at the height point of my solo. You just keep playing because the TV cameras are still going. So just keep going. I mean, I have many stories. I just can't tell them all.
And now the other side of the coin. What is the best thing that has ever happened to you, or something that really impressed you that you were just like, wow?
Ah, man, lately that's been happening a lot. Right now, I'm working on a program, an educational program in Nicaragua. Um, so I got called back to actually have talks about the program and be really excited about it. But it was just a chance. So actually, um, another great thing, I didn't set it up to get paid up front. This was like programs that I'm working on for the future. So I had a little vacation time, so I was able to work with it. And the benefits of me doing that, it quadrupled just for me going there to as an intro talk. I was able to set up 4 future programs with just a simple good gesture of an intro talk of going there just to set that up. Um, that's one thing that happened recently. That's completely amazing. And I guess the other thing that happened recently that's amazing. My album, my first debut album, I'm sold out of CDs. So I just had to reorder a shipment of CDs, and they just came in. Now they're sitting in Paris right now, waiting for me. And then the other shipment just flew to the United States. Um, so it's been great support, and I'm like one of those musicians that we're kind of under the radar, as they may say. Um,
Hmm.
but I have a wonderful, amazing fan base, and I really love my fan base, and they really support me. They've been supporting me for years. So many musicians like myself that you may not see them in a magazine or something, but my fan base is amazing, and I really love them, and they love the music, and it's a grind. So I'm here to tell many other musicians like myself that it's possible. You can do it. You can do it. I'm doing it, and you can definitely do what I'm doing and above.
Those are just great words, and for all those who are listening, really trust me, Ezra is a great guy, and you can get an idea of who he is from his music, but really, like, just if you ever happen to see him live, just go talk to him, say hello, talk with him a couple of minutes, because he's a great guy. And again, I'm so happy to have you here on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Man, my pleasure, my pleasure. Now, always staying in the touring field, what is the best place you've ever been at? You could mention either a city or a country or even a venue or a festival. What is the place that is really, that you just loved?
Let me see. La Réunion, France. It's a French colony right off the coast of Madagascar. Man, this place has white sand beaches, black sand beaches, rainforests, uh, everything, volcanoes on a very small island that's only 2 hours drive around the whole island.
And how did you end up there?
Man, I was playing with a hip hop artist, a world hip hop artist, Blitz the Ambassador. Blitz the Ambassador. I played with him many years, and we were on a festival there, and we actually took vacation there also. This place is amazing. This place is amazing. I would say there, my favorite places, Dakar, Senegal.
Mm-hmm.
There, man, it's like seeing a movie. It's like watching life in 3D or something. The colors in Africa is amazing, and Japan. I tour Japan a lot, and every time I'm there, I always see something different. I go to the temples. I mean, you get a chance to see the architecture, everything. So those are my three favorite spots. And always go there to create also.
Yeah. And what place you haven't been yet that you would love to perform at one day?
Dubai.
Dubai, okay.
Dubai is on my list. Let me see. I have a long list. Shanghai.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Dubai, Shanghai, and where haven't I been? That's a good question there. Well, other countries in Africa. I really want to go to Kenya, and I really want to go to Kenya, and I may get a chance to go this time when I go to South Africa. I'm gonna try to do a little more travel, but those three places mainly, I haven't been that I really want to go. But Dubai is number one on my list.
Okay, so I hope you'll manage to gig there soon, because I've also never been there, but I'm sure it's a great place. So I hope you get there soon.
Yeah.
Now, like you've talked about Japan, and we have mentioned Africa. How does performing in a different country with a different culture impact you? Or maybe I rephrase, how do you prepare? So, for example, you know that in certain countries, audiences can be more like kind of active, so shouting and these kind of things. And in other countries or in other cultures, perhaps audiences can seem, at first they might seem a bit colder. How do you cope with that?
The best thing to do is do your show. I mean, it's a learning experience, because many different countries, like you said, because of the culture, and they react to the music a lot differently. Like first time I was with my band in Japan, unlike New York or Mississippi, they're singing things back. It's like call and response, and they're clapping and all kinds of stuff. A lot of people come to the front of the stage. In Japan, it wasn't any of that. It was zero of that. And then at the end, I had about 5 encores. So it was confusing. I was like, man, they don't like the music. But then you realize that they love the music. But because they do it differently. Same thing when I was in Nicaragua for the master classes. I'm so used to, I guess, you ask a question and a lot of questions. A lot of places we didn't get many questions. But at the end, they really want to talk to you one-on-one. So it's a culture thing, and I realize I guess in Nicaragua, a lot of friends were telling me they don't do it like that publicly at first, but then they really want to do it one-on-one. They want to talk to you one-on-one. So it was like a line one-on-one. So different things that you learn in many different countries, like the Osaka side is a little more, they party a lot more than, they're, I guess, a little more vocal about the music than the Tokyo side.
Mm-hmm.
So just knowing that, but at first, play your show and just play a great show, and let them feel the music, and then you'll learn.
Amen, brother. Let them sing. Let them hear the music.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. I agree. Now I have kind of logistical question. Logistical sounds a bit weird, but I'm sure that all the fans, but also the musicians listening to the podcast might be wondering about this. How, in terms of gear and equipment, and you mentioned earlier, the new stock of your CDs arriving in Paris. How do you get ready for a tour?
Oh wow. I guess even better, the new CDs that I have, they don't have the glass or plastic lay, so it's a flatter CD. So if you tour a lot, the new flatter CDs are lighter, so you can carry 100 or 200 easier in a bag, because when you're traveling internationally, everything is about weight. How much does it weigh? So you can carry more CDs in your bag. So having CDs for travel is very important. Everything from your instrument and your equipment, knowing which power the international plugs or connectors you should bring. I have to know. Well, now I have all of them because I'm going to a string of them. But when I was just going to Europe, I have a Europe box. So I have all of my Europe plugs. I will have to bring those. So that's important, because if you forget that, it's kind of hard to find it, when you're at sound check. That's important. And like we were talking about Hootsuite and Twitter. Some places in the world, Twitter may be more popular than Facebook. So you really want to try to create your buzz before you get there, because you can't rely on the club to do your promotion.
So now, sorry, I have to interrupt you because I have a magic question. So how do you do that? How do you build a buzz before heading there? How do you personally do that?
So personally, I guess you would first notify. Let's say if you've been there before, you want to definitely notify the people that you know there of your arrival when you're coming. Let them know, and then start doing what we call a soft buzz. You will announce it. Let's say Facebook or Twitter. I think you could do it through the different apps. You can set it up to do it automatically, but you can announce it maybe 2 months out, and then they're like, oh, okay. But you want to make sure that you have your full calendar on your Facebook. Like, for example, my profile page, my profile picture, you hit the picture, and actually you can also see the calendar also. But I also have there's a tour button link also. So you want to make sure it's easily accessible, so that they know, and you want them to even be excited. Like I got people that in Japan, they stayed near Tokyo, but they saw that I'm playing in Osaka, so actually they're preparing to actually just travel to Osaka to see me.
Mm-hmm.
So give people chances. As long as they know early, they can make preparations to come to your show. It may be 2 hours travel, but these are your fans. You want to give them that chance. Like I said, sending the information out early in Hootsuite, using Hootsuite. Let's say like 1 week, 2 weeks. Make it a gap, and then you could use certain flyers or pictures from that time period when you were there last to connect to send that also to actually create a bigger buzz. And make sure you always connect with the club there on Twitter and on Facebook, the club wherever you're playing or the festival, and maybe the musicians that are on that festival or that club. Those different ways are very important.
And how do you do if you're heading to a country where you don't know anyone? I don't know if that has ever happened to you, but if it has, how do you do that? I mean, obviously you know that you're gonna perform at club ABC or at festival XYZ, but other than that,
For me, let's say Singapore, Singapore. So it'll be my first time going to Singapore. So my first thing I would do. So they've already booked the gig. I first do my research, and research is important. I want to know all of the other jazz clubs that are in the city, and then I want to know. You can see what bands. Some bands may be similar style, so you kind of know. Oh, okay. You get a gist of the city. You know these people, and you can maybe even connect with them, those musicians first, because I'm a musician lover first. I love music. I just don't want people to just come to my show. I also love music also, so I want to connect with the other musicians that have been there, and they're doing really great things also, and maybe they have great tips, and
mm-hmm.
and it creates a bond. So maybe I'm there, I can sit in on their gig, maybe I get there a day early, like I'm getting there a day early. I'm gonna play with a wonderful pianist. Her name is Aya. She's from Japan, but she actually stayed in New York for 20 years. So it'll be my first time meeting her, and I'm going to sit in on her set and actually maybe even work out a horn section thing on another gig that she has. So it's all about this mutual contact, and it's great in that line. And as far as your fans, um, for new city, you just want to try to create. There are many different blogs or Facebook groups for jazz lovers for that city. So
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you send the information to the club itself so that they can dual promote your flyer on their website and on their Twitter. And so that and maybe even the groups, the groups or the jazz groups of that city also. So the people that didn't know, so make sure you post your, like a YouTube or, photos or things that, something short about yourself so they can get a gist of who you are. So they'll be there.
Yeah, no, that's actually really smart thing to do, just to to do some research, like you said, and perhaps the Jazz Spotlight can help you if you're looking for jazz clubs around the world.
True.
You can head to thejazzspotlight.com/clubs, and if you're looking for festivals around the world, just go to thejazzspotlight.com/festivals, and there you find 2 different maps where there are the festivals that I've written about. So you definitely should check it out when planning your next gigs. Do you have an email list or a newsletter for your fans?
I can say that is the one thing I don't have. I think I will start that very soon. I have some great newsletters that come to me, and this is one thing that I really should do, and I think everyone should do.
Yeah.
But I do mine via Facebook and Twitter more so, but I will be starting an email list. So actually, you will be getting one soon, sir.
Man, that's great. And actually, we talked about email lists with both Bobby on episode 2 and Buddy on episode 4, and they both highlighted the importance of having an email list on the website because it gives you direct access to hundreds or even thousands of people. Because you never know what happens. That's one of the things Bobby was talking about, why you can't rely only on social media because of the constant changes. And to some extent, social media are unpredictable, whereas your website, it's already more stable, and your email list, it's even more stable because, even if, let's say you have a problem with your website, you can still send an email to all your email list like followers and just say, okay, my website has some problems. I will be back up tomorrow or in 2 days, or this is my new blog. So I think it's really important. And the tool I use to create an email list, it's called Aweber, and you can try it. Sign up for just $1 if you go to thejazzspotlight.com/get Aweber, and Aweber is spelled Aweber. So I will put it also in the show notes, but I definitely recommend to everyone listening, like you said that you're about to do it, everyone should do it. Whether you are an artist, you run a club, you have a festival, you have a business that it's not strictly connected to music, really email lists are really important, and it's important to think about the people on your email list as people and not as number. Like in marketing, there is the expression, the money is in the list. Well, yeah. To some extent it's true, but you should think about the people first, because it's all about bonding, like you said, and creating value for people. So be it giving fresh news and updates, free special content, or whatever you can come up with, or whatever suits you the most. But really, you should get an email list. Now, let's talk a little bit about your solo debut album, The Journey.
Yeah.
First question, is the title related to your life on the road, so to your musical journey? Or how did you come up with the title?
It is my musical journey, my life on the road. It's both. Like if you listen to the album, you would actually get a chance to hear some of the influences of some of the places I've traveled. The album itself is kind of different because some of the songs are very different, but when you put the album together, when you play it from top to bottom, you can hear the story. But track number 2 is kind of bluesy. It's for my southern jazz people, almost southern blues kind of type. It's got a kind of Al Green Motown feel to it. Then got a song like Flower Pot, which has got that New York kind of vibe to it. And then you have many other songs may have like a kind of churchy vibe. Some of us got really like Sendai. Sendai is maybe one of the hardest songs to play for me, but it's maybe one of the most popular that everyone loves. I guess Sendai and Flower Pot. Sendai itself is, it's a complete story, and that story is about I wrote it when I was in Sendai, Japan. It was about the tsunami and the earthquake there, the things that happened after that.
And we will, for all those who are perhaps listening to the podcast on iTunes or YouTube or SoundCloud, you can head over to thejazzspotlight.com/episode 7. And in the show notes, you will find the links to all the resources we mentioned, to Ezra's website, and also to his CD. So you will have a chance to listen to it and enjoy this great musical journey.
Yeah, let me know what you think after you listen to it.
Definitely. I will let you know. My perhaps final question to wrap up this episode. We're almost at the 1 hour mark. It has been so great. What tip would you have for all those musicians who perhaps are living in small towns and they kind of would like to start touring, but they come up with plenty of reasons not to? What would you tell them?
Ooh, okay. Well, let me first say, I was born in a really small town, Florence, South Carolina. It's pretty small. So, the one thing I could tell you, the number one thing is dream. Dream. Think about where you want to be and set goals. Dream about it because these dreams happen. If you want to see yourself touring the world, start putting that out in the universe then, and then start making plans for that. Because I have many great friends, like they play with like all the great pop artists. Like I got friends that play with Lady Gaga. Even Mary J. Blige, Tyler Perry. Many, and then I have a whole group of another friends, and we all grew up together. They only do TV stuff, and studio stuff like licensing.
Yeah,
and they're on many different albums and movies, but that's all they do. And then I have another group of friends that they mainly tour the United States. So think about exactly what you want to do, and then start researching people that do that already, like other great musicians that are also doing that. And the main thing, use your status in your city because you want to be known in your city first. That's very important. And it's good to know all the legends in your city because you can't really play jazz if you don't know all the jazz musicians that play in your city. So you want to keep practicing, working on your sound, and play as much as you can in your city. And then save some money and start buying tickets to places that you want to go and start visiting those places. Do your research to know the clubs that you want to research, the clubs and the jam sessions, and buy a ticket, get a hotel room, or try to book a gig, and then go there and network. And that's how it starts. It starts with a small network. And then, the more and more you're playing there, and then maybe, like I was in South Carolina, maybe if you wanted to book in New York, you make a book in D.C. also. Then you make a book in Durham, North Carolina. Virginia, so on and so forth. Try to book, or even if you're you could try to book 1 hour or 2 hours from your home to branch out your sound and your fan base. So there are many different techniques to do it, but the last thing I'll just say is dream. I mean, dreams are real and they happen every day.
Man, that's so inspiring. Really, thank you so much for being on the show. Before we wrap up this episode, what is the best way to find you online? If people would like to learn more about you, where can they find you?
You can always find me at EzraBrown.com. That's EZRABrown.com. You can always find me on Facebook, Facebook.com/Ezra Brown. I have a fan page there. Twitter, Twitter.com/Ezra Brown. WhatsApp, Ezra Brown. Line, for my people that use Line, you can always hit me there. And my email, just Ezra@EzraBrown.com. I just had a wonderful time, man. This is amazing. I'm going to listen to every episode.
Man, thank you very much for your support. And we will, as I said, for those who are listening from iTunes or YouTube, SoundCloud, wherever you're listening from, just head over to thejazzspotlight.com/episode 7, where you can find the links to Ezra's website, his album, and all the great resources we mentioned. This was Ezra Brown. Brother, thank you so much for all your great tips, for your support, and for the great things you do for music and music fans around the world.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. So that was Ezra Brown with Touring the World. If you're listening, thank you once again for being on the show, for sharing your story, and for giving out practical tips and advice for musicians all over the world. Now I have a call to action for all of you who are listening. if you're an artist, I think that you kind of got it from what Ezra said, the importance of, looking for music venues and festivals, and most importantly, to communicate those dates and places to your fans. He talked about Google Calendars. So if you head over to EzraBrown.com, you can see how he presents his tour dates to his fans. What I would like you to do now are actually three things. The first thing is, if you haven't yet, head over to thejazzspotlight.com/Hootsuite, and Hootsuite is spelled HOOTSUITE, Hootsuite, and sign up for free for Hootsuite. It's a great tool. It's the same tool that I use, Ezra Brown uses as well, and also Bob Yosinski, you might remember from episode 2. He also talked about Hootsuite and how good a tool it is to schedule your tweets, your Facebook post, Google Plus post. It's really a great tool, and you can sign up for free. So if you go to thejazzspotlight.com/Hootsuite, you can sign up for free and try it there. The second part of the call to action is actually signing up for two tools that you can use to show your tour dates to your fans and followers. The first one, it's called Bands in Town. So if you head over to bandsintown.com, you can sign up for free there. And the second one is called Songkick. So it's spelled SONGKICK, songkick.com. And that's also a free service. And these are, I think, are really useful because you can also integrate them with one another. And with, for example, Bands in Town, you can integrate it with your Facebook page so that your Facebook followers can see your tour dates there. So this is a short call to action, but I think it's really important that if you are a musician, you use these kind of tools to inform your fans and followers as much as possible with all your tour dates, where you're gonna be performing at tomorrow, next week, next month. So bandsintown.com and songkick.com. And again, I would like also to remind you that if you haven't yet, you can sign up to the Jazz Spotlight newsletter. If you head over to thejazzspotlight.com/toolbox, you can sign up completely for free. You will get a free ebook that talks about online promotion for musicians, and I'm sure that you will find plenty of useful tips there. In addition to that, you will get a weekly email full with special tips and resources that you will get right in your inbox, and that will help you take in action immediately. The last thing that I want to talk about is that with Ezra, we talked about his story, so from the artist point of view, but I think it's very important, especially if you have a music venue, that your website has a calendar section where potential customers can see what gigs you're gonna be hosting today, tomorrow, next week, etc. So if you haven't yet, make sure to include a calendar or shows, however you like to call it, a section where people can see who is performing and when, and perhaps also include a link to the artist's website so that customers can just click on the website, can go there to listen to the music, and if they like it, they will for sure come to your club. Okay, this is it for today. I'm Yanni Lunga, and this is the Jazz Spotlight podcast. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.